Well, well, well. Welcome to a chair league game tonight, Division 2, between Burgers for the Boys and the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. Surprise, surprise, bet you didn't know I was going to be here. I know I certainly didn't until about 30 minutes ago. But I've once again gone rogue and managed to snipe a Div 2 team that did not have a caster. And so that is how I am here tonight. Anyway, this is going to be a best of 3, so I'm excited about that. This is just the the second or third best of 3 I've casted, if I am correct. So we'll see exactly how that goes down. But the first map of the set is going to be here on Dragonshire, the map that I've certainly casted the most. Seems like a good neutral map that a lot of the teams seem to enjoy. So that's where we're going to be tonight. The first ban coming out for Burgers for the Boys is going to be on the Dehaka, a very popular ban on this map. The combination of his strong top lane presence as well as his global movement makes him a powerful pick on this map. And we also see the Lucio ban coming out. For those of you who don't keep as much track of the win rates and general trends in Heroes of the Storm, after the Malfurion nerf, Malfurion's win rate went down, but even after the slight changes to healing numbers, considering that Lucio's highest competition got nerfed, his win rate actually went up despite the nerf, so not surprising to see the Lucio ban rather come out there. And we see the first pick coming out for Burgers for the Boys going to be the Malfurion. Even though his win rate did drop a bit, still a really powerful support, still works well in basically any comp. And we immediately see the ETC picked for Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. I hope that we will see a Mosh Pit, considering that it is in their name, and I will be severely disappointed if they don't make their namesake come true. So we see that come out immediately as a snap pick. Also a good pick away from Malfurion, making sure they don't have that easy power slide into root follow-up. And so now we have to see what the next pick is going to be, and it is going to be Ragnaros as well. 2 power picks coming out right out the gate for the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit, going the ETC Ragnaros. And so that's there's lots of options there. My guess is that these teams will probably run the more orthodox compositions. Ragnaros with Sulfurous Smash. ETC could still go either way. And Ragnaros will very likely also be the solo top laner for the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. And now they can look at their support and backline picks. So, back over to Burgers for the Boys. They obviously still need everything else. They've only picked their support. Other popular tanks on this map would probably be something like a Muradin. He's kind of the obvious choice in this scenario. Johanna could also work. They actually go for Falstad now. It looks like they're going to put some level of prioritization on global heroes. Falstad, although not the greatest laner against Ragnaros, can hold his own if Falstad does a good enough job kind of keeping away from Rag when he tries to initiate and land a Sulfurous Smash. And it looks like we also see the Zarya pickup. So that's interesting seeing a Zarya come out this early. I'm wondering what they're going to have on the back end. They'll most likely have a main tank, considering Zarya can't solo frontline particularly well. It happens from time to time. You'll occasionally see pro teams do it on maps like Braxis Holdout. But it's not the wisest thing to do in every situation. So I expect another frontliner and then possibly an assassin that will pair well with Zarya come out. And so now we're going over to the second Bane phase. If you're Real Ultimate Mosh Pit right now, you probably just want to be trying to choke out the tanks to some degree, especially if you're considering going another double frontline yourself. That might be a good idea. Just really limit the options of Burgers for the Boys. Varian would also be a viable ban. That being said, Varian was changed in the recent patch. His stun changed to just a slow increased duration if you take Warbringer. So I don't know if teams are still playing Varian. I haven't been in it enough lately to really tell, and obviously none of the really pro circuits have seen a lot of action since the Varian changes. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how that works, but we're coming down into the last few seconds here, and it's going to be a Sonya ban. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad ban, especially if the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit is planning on going a lot of frontline, as Sonya is very strong against those types of compositions. It is kind of interesting, I will say, because if they did decide to go Zarya Sonya, that's basically no CC, and it would be difficult to play with that, at least in my opinion. Kind of a strange combination of frontline, but I guess you could go for just the unkillable comp, even if you don't really have means to lock your opponent down. So Sonya, once again, maybe they know something I don't. Maybe they know that Burgers for the Boys has plans on running Sonya in comps like these, so all in all, fair ban there. It looks like their Burgers for the Boys is currently hovering the Vala ban. I think that's a fair ban as well. Vala really popular once you start getting into the higher levels, kind of like the best go-to assassin, especially after the Tychus nerfs. In the past, or in recent months, we've seen a lot of Tychus just being highly prioritized, even over Vala. But after the changes to Tychus, my guess is that he's dropped off just a little bit. I know his win rate has certainly tanked. And so we see the Vala ban coming out, just trying to get rid of that sustained backline pressure that Vala can provide. So looking back over to Real Ultimate Mosh Pit, you've got 2 more picks to go. Since it's already reached this point, you really could hold your support pick to the very end if there are picks that are highly contested that you want to prioritize. But at the same time, if there's a pick that you don't think the enemy's going to go for and you want to hide, you could go ahead and throw out that support pick to conceal what your final one is going to be if it's going to be a little bit sneaky. So we'll have to wait and see what they're going to go for. The obvious choice is, even though Tychus has been nerfed, he still would probably fit into this composition, considering it's very likely that Burgers for the Boys will end up with a double warrior composition. Little less effective than in the past, but not necessarily a bad choice. Some sort of mage could also work. Li Ming and Gul'dan are both still on the table. Not my favorite in this situation, especially against Zarya, which is kind of like a pseudo double support composition. And they actually lock in Tyrael Morales. I was not expecting that. They're going very heavy in the front line. With a Lieutenant Morales, I would actually anticipate their last pick to be something along the lines of a Zul'jin. That's what makes the most sense to me, looking at the really heavy frontline comp. They want someone in the back line who can just chuck out damage constantly, and Morales is a very good pairing with Zul'jin, so that'd be my prediction there. Another option would be Greymane. That would put them into basically like a 3.5 melee, quote-unquote, composition. But the Tyrael really works as an enabler, more so than like a tank in other traditional senses, like having that shield to help people dive, the movement speed on his E, the slow from Eldruin's Might. And so I would expect to see possibly some more melee support there, but it also might not be. It could just be the Zul'jin coming out. We'll have to wait and see whether or not my prediction is accurate. Meanwhile, Burgers for the Boys now in their final pick phase. I would still recommend going with a solid frontliner, not just like a melee assassin like a Kerrigan, a Thrall, or an Alarak, but actually like a bulky one. Like a Muradin, I think, is the obvious choice there. And let's see what their final pick is going to be. Probably another ranged damage of some sort, and it is going to be Gul'dan, which leads me to believe that Falstad, especially against a double warrior comp, might be going an auto attack build, picking up Giant Killer at 13 to kind of help eat away at those high health bars. And so all in all, a pretty solid comp coming over for Burgers for the Boys. The Malfurion pick works really well in conjunction with the Gul'dan. The Muradin, a solid frontline, was really kind of their last option. So if they play if they're a tank player plays a good Muradin, that could work out very well for them. So a solid overall comp, a little bit of global pressure with Falstad, some extra support from Zarya, nice sustained damage from Gul'dan. And so good draft so far. We'll see whether or not I end up liking the Real Ultimate Mosh Pits draft as well. Once again, I will reiterate, it does feel like you need a sustained damage auto attacker here in order to make the team really work. So Zul'jin is kind of my obvious pick. Raynor would also work really well in this circumstance. In the past, I would say Tychus is a no-brainer, and they actually do go with Greymane, so my second guess was correct, that they are going to go with the Greymane there. He kind of is nice because he can kind of fit into both categories, or he can do one or the other depending on what they want to go with. If they want him to be more of a ranged poker, they could go for kind of a weird off Q build where you possibly get some auto attack range, or if they want to just go like an all melee, all in composition using the Tyrael to help enable the backline get in with the lockdown from ETC, they could go an all in Worgen form build. So I'll have to wait and see what exactly they decide to go with there. I like the Morales in the backline. When you have such a strong front line, that's going to be difficult to get past, especially when the dive for Burgers for the Boys is kind of limited to Muradin and Falstad. I expect that Minra and Lieutenant Morales will be able to get a lot of value, but we'll have to wait and see as we go on to this first game of the night in this best of 3 between Burgers for the Boys and the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit in Division 2 of Chair League. Let's get my face off of this so you can see the teams. And so I can go over who is on what. So we will see that we have Vidids on Muradin, Gul'dan being played by Mosdef, Bravery on Malfurion, SIFU on Zarya, and Frontin on Falstad. Those are your team members for Burgers for the Boys. And for the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit, we have Dinkstrom on ETC. You have to wait till they load in, as I do not have the names memorized. Ralph the Dog on Ragnaros. Having some difficulty. There we go. Had to get my mouse in the frame. Patam on Greymane, Judge Bread on Tyrael, and I believe that is everyone for the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. So GLHF's coming out. Good to see some sportsmanship. And now, let me zoom out so everyone can get a good view of what's going on. As I mentioned earlier, I do think it will be Falstad versus Ragnaros in the top lane. Those are really the only strong solo laners I see coming out, especially considering that Gul'dan is going Echoed Corruption and will want to be in the 4-man rotation to get that stacked as quickly as possible. We see both teams heading for the mid lane brawl. We'll have to see whether or not they decide to commit to it or just kind of poke around. ETC positioning kind of aggressively, looking for maybe Malfurion to get out of position. Tyrael as well, good job at least so far for the tanks, like staying up and really being a physical barrier between their backline and the enemy team. It's just a lot of poke coming out from Zarya right now. Zarya is going the Demolitions Expert build, which has been a lot more popular in the pro scene than the traditional Heat build as of late. Muradin in a little bit of trouble, does still have Dortox available, just jumps out. Tyrael being really aggressive, as is Greymane, but that being said, they seem to realize they have a Morales in the back there who is very easily able to keep their members healed up, still has a lot of mana, and will have no difficulty keeping people alive, especially considering that both Tyrael and ETC have some level of self-sustain through their shields and healing. Good poke coming out from Gul'dan, using both Corruption and Felflame to put a lot of pressure onto ETC and Gul'dan, or ETC and Greymane. Greymane caught in the root. The Morales heals, however, are mini and are very easily able to keep individual members alive. It's going to take a lot of focus or a lot of AoE poke to really affect these members. So that's something that Morales might have some difficulty once Gul'dan does get access to Echoed Corruption, is that Morales' most obvious strength is the just overwhelming power for single target healing. But if you get a lot of poke on a lot of members, it's going to be difficult to deal with. Now, Malfurion in a lot of trouble, gets initiated on by ETC, and Greymane does end up going down. Good job there from Verdestrom body blocking the Malfurion, making him take a long path to try to get away. He's unable to escape, and Baton's able to jump in with the Greymane and land a finishing blow. So a good early game pressure here from the Ultimate Mosh Pit, turning this 3v3 into a 3v2. Currently channeling both shrines. I do not think Tyrael will ever be able to take it from Zarya, though. Zarya able to poke away basically indefinitely with that particle grenade. We'll take a quick peek, even though she is getting kind of low health, so good job on Judge Red here on Tyrael, pressuring the Zarya. But even with him being low health, Malfurion has now returned to the lane and will be able to heal Zarya right on up. 3v2 bot lane, however, ETC being low still initiates on the Muradin. Muradin does still have Dwarf Toss available. Tom switches to Gul'dan, doing a lot of damage. Bravery is rotated down with Malfurion, helping keep the rest of his team healthy. This is both shrines at least temporarily held for the real Ultimate Mosh Pit. Falstad has gone top lane. Well, he's been top lane and has managed to take the shrine away from Ragnar, so it looked like he might have gone back. Verdestrom initiating again on the Malfurion, taking a lot of damage himself, though. The Malfurion heals are enough to keep himself alive, and the Morales heals are doing a pretty good job so far, jumping back and forth between Greymane and ETC, keeping them healthy, but Minra's getting low on mana and is going to have difficulty continuing this much longer. I believe that they have well tap available. Let me check that real quick. Actually, no, it did end up having to tap the well earlier, and is going to have to go back to base in order to get some more mana. So this will probably be both shrines, at least temporarily, going over to Burgers for the Boys, and it's going to be up to Tyrael to help defend this top lane. Or Tyrael defend this mid lane, however, goes back to tap well, knows that they're going to have to interrupt the shrine. Meanwhile, Greymane and ETC, good job here, good decision going for the siege camp, realizing that their support is back, getting health and mana, so they can't really afford to play aggressively. Judge Brett doing a good job making sure that Zarya doesn't have the opportunity. Actually playing a little aggressive, considering that he is kind of low on mana, as well as pushing into the wave. So working out for him so far here. Zarya has almost no energy and isn't doing much damage. And he was able to stall long enough for the real Ultimate Mosh Pit to come back down and take this. So it's 3v3 once again. They have the siege waves helping to push, but Gul'dan's wave clear should be enough to help get rid of this. Morales, however, actually can't afford to heal the siege camps, is forced to focus on Greymane instead, as well as ETC. So Muradin going in, trying to finish off the siege camps. Greymane still taking a lot of poke damage from the Gul'dan. Good job for Mostep there, just applying constant pressure with Corruption and Felflame, forcing Morales to focus on other targets. Muradin getting really low. Verdestrom tries to initiate, but he jumps out just in time. Both teams getting kind of low. Muradin does have his trait and is able to start healing up passively along with the heals of Malfurion. Things are currently looking to be in favor of the Ultimate Mosh Pit, though. Have both shrines being channeled. Much more mana on Minra than on Bravery, so they will be able to sustain this a little bit longer. Baton has gone intact. ETC playing really aggressively, trying to initiate for the team. And we do notice that Greymane has decided to go the more poke-oriented build, has all three cocktail talents from level 1 to level 7, and has begun stacking a Cindery Elixir, which will start to hurt after a while. Zarya doing a really good job of pushing out Tyrael, really just bullying him at this point. Tyrael doing his best. Oh, and while I was looking at Tyrael, it looks like ETC most likely caught out Malfurion. So a good job of them bot lane while I was busy looking at what was happening mid lane. So even though they're having difficulty mid lane, Tyrael not really being able to lane against Zarya, they are managing to capitalize on it elsewhere. The EXP, however, is mostly even. Falstad has been forced back to base by Ragnaros. This is both shrines going over to Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. But Tyrael had to go back for both health and mana, so it's very unlikely they'll actually be able to channel this. Greymane just focusing on clearing the waves. Zarya will be able to interrupt this basically indefinitely unless a larger rotation comes top. Pressure on the Monstep in the bot lane from ETC, but without Greymane there, they don't really have the means to kill him. And I think we're just going to see a lot of back and forth until level 10 is hit. Neither team really has the means to get a significant advantage. Even if they get one kill, it hasn't been enough to transition into a Dragon Knight. So at this point, Ultimate Mosh Pit is just racing to 10. Monstep ever getting really low on health. Malfurion rotating down to help heal him up. He's got to be careful. A grenade over the wall could have been the end of things, which he seems to have known as he backed up. Root coming in from Malf, but it's not going to have a whole lot come of it. Tyrael actually is rotated down. Looks like he's going to leave Greymane to deal with Zarya. At least for the time being. This is a little bad for Patam on Greymane, as it does mean he will be unable to as effectively stack his Incendiary Elixir. Sent 2 people mid to try to pressure Zarya, but they're just not doing any meaningful damage, and is not going to be able to get the channel. Meanwhile, since it was 3v2 bot lane, the shrine was recaptured by Burgers for the boys, as well as top lane as well, front and taking it away from Ralph the Dog. Just kind of a bunch of back and forth in the top lane, not a whole lot to see going on. As long as they continue to play carefully, we shouldn't see anything come of it. Shrine's currently gone over to Burgers for the boys, but even though Zarya's done a good job of pressuring out the members of Real Ultimate Mosh Pit when they're going for the Dragon Knight, doesn't really have the means to take it herself either. So we'll have to see. Level 10 is now achieved by Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. Are we going to see a Saint come out? We do. Good job for mitigating the damage, but unfortunately the wall is still there, so they're not able to follow any further. Meanwhile, in the top lane, it looks like Sulfuras Smash came out from Ralph the Dog and was able to burst away the Falstad, who didn't even see it coming. And so this is really the opportunity for Real Ultimate Mosh Pit to take the first Dragon Knight. They're sending Greymane and Tyrael mid to try to take the Dragon Knight. Zarya, however, still has good long-range pokes, so they're going to have to be a little more aggressive, apply some more pressure to Zarya if they want to get this, especially since it's 2v3 bot lane now, and they're having difficulties just still taking it away. Zarya turning out to be a really smart pick as just a person to sit mid lane and just deny the Dragon Knight indefinitely. So clever drafting here from Burgers for the boys, working out for them in the early game, just having the eternal interrupts. Looks like a bit of a fright might be breaking out bot lane. It's 2v3, but Greymane and Tyrael both lurking in the wings, waiting to initiate. You decide to go in. The wall is still here, however. Will they be able to stop the Muradin? Good fear from Gul'dan, really splitting the team. Echo Corruption already completed, only 7 minutes in, and doing a lot of damage to the backline. Tyrael almost going down. Maybe a bit of a misclick on the Eldruin's Might there. ETC goes in to try to peel, gets caught by the Twilight Druid, ends up going down. Rotation from Zarya coming in with the Expulsion Zone, now applying a lot of pressure to Tyrael. Not taking a lot of damage very quickly, though, does end up exploding. Will probably take down Zarya. Malfield comes out, but it's not enough. I guess the attempt there was for the Lieutenant Morales to use the medevac to help Tyrael escape. Maybe he didn't quite get the memo. So good turnaround there from Burgers for the boys, helping to turn that initiation into several kills for them. Stage dive in from ETC. I thought it would be a mosh pit. I was wrong. Greymane jumps immediately onto Gul'dan in the backline. Malfurion now out of position is going to go down as well, more likely than not. Greymane, however, not actually able to keep pace. Might get slowed by the Muradin. So there comes the slow. However, Ragnaros is rotated down. Will he have enough damage? Sulfuras smashes it. Cool guys don't look at explosions. He throws down the ult. Doesn't even auto-attack. Malf just knows he's dead. So good rotations there from Real Ultimate Mosh Pit, kind of turning it in their favor. So just a lot of back and forth right now. Meanwhile, Falstad just kind of soaking top lane. Even with that additional soak, a lot of kills. Here goes another one, most likely. Oh no, the keep slow comes out. They're unable to get the kill. Will a Q? Oh, so there is the... a gust under fort. There's just constant action going on right now. Fear from Gul'dan, isolating Greymane from the rest of the team. It doesn't look like the corruption will be enough. Never mind, the siege minion decides that Greymane is not going to live today. There was going to be a retreat there, but Lieutenant Morales, I guess, has cold feet, jumped away before Raghood is forced to go back in to help escape, but does still have the healing to help him survive. My goodness, I'm having difficulty keeping up here. So kills gone over in favor of Burgers for the boys. Talent tiers equalized at 13. Slight EXP advantage still in favor of Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. Tyrael trying to channel the Dragon Knight, almost gets it. Is interrupted by Zarya. Zarya is going to keep doing it. ETC stage diving in will definitely have the power slide. Doesn't even need it. Just goes for the face melt instead. The rotations for Burgers for the boys are too slow, and they are unable to get the shrines. And that is the first Dragon Knight of the game, going over to the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit and helping further the EXP lead to almost a full level now. Will most likely be a full level by the end of it. Gul'dan doing his best to use corruption to poke down the team. ETC taking a lot of punishment. And looks like Muradin and Malfurion trying to ward off the rest of the backline. Malf has to be careful, though. He's kind of away from the rest of the team. Meanwhile, we see Greymane and Falstad skirmishing up in the top lane. I also want to note that Greymane did decide to take Cursed Bullet. For those of you who aren't aware, a few patches ago, Greymane's March for the Kill ultimate was changed so that instead of now making enemies vulnerable, it does 35% of their current health. So it kind of works so that it's an opposite of Go for the Throat, whereas Go for the Throat is meant to be an execute, Cursed Bullet is an initiator. So interesting choice there from Greymane. Seems to be working out so far. And we see that this is going to be 2 forts coming out in favor. We saw it right there if you heard the effect, the Cursed Bullet come out, dropping Malfurion's health, allowing for an easy follow-up kill by Patam on Greymane. Dragon Knight is almost exhausted. Ralph the Dog going into his Molten Core to apply pressure. Vita is taking a lot of damage, getting really low. Gul'dan as well, just constant pressure coming out from Ragnaros. Meanwhile, in the top lane, it looks like Frontin on Falstad has kind of resigned himself to just trying to soak to keep up the EXP. The kill, even though they're only 5 kills ahead, they are also up 2 forts, and this has turned into over a full level lead, currently a talent tier ahead for the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit, and it looks like they've got a party bush in the wings. Will they go for it? They do not. I guess Ragnaros there trying to kind of bait out the enemy team, try to get them to initiate. They notice something's up, play pretty cautiously, don't go all in, and manage to escape the trap. Since we might have the basically first lull since the game's begun, I want to talk quickly just about my mixed feelings about Ragnaros's, not this Ragnaros in particular, not Ralph's use of Ragnaros, but Ragnaros as a character, as he is thematically used. As if you people remember when Ragnaros was first revealed not through the cinematic trailer, but through like the reveal trailer, it kind of talked about how, ooh, will this be stolen? Holy Ground comes out. Bruiser Camp stolen by Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. Good play there from Judge Brett, as well as good awareness knowing they were going to be there. So the EXP taken away, and now Birds of the Boys is in trouble. Cursed Bullet comes out, but does not make contact with Viditz, and so now they're pushing bot lane with this Bruiser. 4v4 in the bot lane, Rag vs Falstad in top. Looks like they're disengaging though, so I will return to what I was trying to say briefly about Ragnaros, is that just personally I have mixed feelings about the way that Ragnaros' Molten Core is actually being played versus the way it was presented, as it was basically suggested that it was designed to be an amazing tool to stop aggressive pushes, where if the enemy is running in with something that you switch to Ragnaros, it really makes them decide whether or not they're going to continue a push when there's all that damage coming out, and that works to a certain degree. But it seems more often than not that you see examples like we just saw bot lane, where you actually use it more aggressively. Well, Falstad in deep trouble here. Cursed Bullet doing a lot of damage. Gust comes out, but Tyrion ETC still in the backline. Shields and heals coming in, but will it be enough? No, it will not be. Saints coming out. So basically all of the ultimates. That's going to be Bravery going down as well. Twilight Dream not making contact with all the characters because of some Saint. Here is the stage dive. ETC is low, however, it does not continue to initiate. Tom going all in, taking a lot of pressure from Gul'dan. Will the Morales seals manage to change targets? They do in time. Now Judge Brett taking a lot of pressure. It's currently 2-0 in favor of the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. This is going to be another fort going down. Good flank there from Ultimate Mosh Pit. Unfortunately for Falstad, the Cursed Bullet connected, dropping him to almost half health immediately. Followed up by the fact that the Gust only connected with 3 members. That's going to be even more EXP going in favor of Burgers for the Boys. Followed by another period of calmness as they go around, get the Shrine. We see Greymane and Morales jumping down to it, and so this is going to be another Dragon Knight going over in favor of the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. I actually want to say, I didn't think about this earlier, but I applaud Minra's choice here of the Medevac dropship instead of going Stim Drone for the Greymane, just as a means to go about the map and give them some more global pressure, so they have both Stage Dive and Medevac to go around and get these shrines. So this is going to be pushing on bot lane, and maybe you'll see again what I was talking about with Ragnaros. So I expect them to use the Dragon Knight to take this keep, and Ragnaros immediately jump on it. And so instead of being used as a defensive anti-siege tool, it's actually being used really aggressively for further sieges, which I think is fine mechanically, but in terms of flavor, I do have some mixed feelings about it. I'll stop talking about that so we can watch it in progress. So here we see it coming out. The Gust actually interrupts it. ETC now caught away from the rest of his team. It looks like he's almost going to go down. The Morales heals do come in time. Do they or do they not? Still really low. It is not enough to heal off the immense damage. It looks like they're going to be forced to retreat. Good play there from Frontin, using the Gust both to disrupt the enemy team as well as interrupting. Vidibs is not done yet, is going for the Tyrael as well. Drops a Sanct for reasons. Maybe it was a bit of a panic Sanct there. Maybe he knows it'll probably be back up before he needs it again. Maybe waiting for the cooldown on Eldruin's Mind. I'm not entirely sure. Does not get a lot of value. Vidibs looks like he wants more, but is able to get anything from him. So what could have been game there, a good counterplay from Bird for the Boys, and that Gust from Frontin on Falstad preventing the Ragnaros from being able to use that, oh goodness, what is it called, Molten Core, and turn it around, get the kill, and ETC would become isolated. And so as I was saying, just kind of to finish up my thought, is that even though I have nothing against it really gameplay-wise, it does seem like the intended idea for Ragnaros is, oh, Greyman getting initiated on. There's damage coming in from Gul'dan. Expulsion Zone keeping him away. Actually, wow, manages to barely use Disengage to dodge through the Expulsion, which actually knocks him behind the gate before the Rube gets hold of him. And we see counter engage from ETC. Oh, and that's Gul'dan dead. Malfurion likely to soon follow. Good power slide by Dinkstrom. Vita is now also on the retreat, as well as SIFU on Zarya. In trouble? Are they going to hunt her down? They seem to know that she's in the area, trying to get away. Is going to show, will most likely be dismounted by minions, gets hit by Morales. There's Greyman. That's going to be another kill going over in favor of the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. Most of them actually haven't picked their 20s yet. We did see Gilnean Roulette selected by Greymane. So this is the new level 20 change to Cursed Bullet, or rather what used to be marked for the kill. So that now hits all heroes instead of just the first one. It has reduced cooldown for each hero hit. And they're going straight on the core. We do see heroic difficulty coming out for Ragnaros, going to apply even more pressure to the core. And this is most likely going to be game with 3 members still dead for Burgers for the Boys, and the core already dropping to almost 70%. I don't think that there's any way that Burgers for the Boys survives this round. Spear Smash coming down, Sanctification to seal the deal. They do manage to get Morales, but it will not be enough. That is game 1 going over to the Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. So GG so far for both teams for the first round. We will hopefully jump into the second one pretty quickly. Let's take a quick peek at the stats here, and we actually see that there was a bit of disparity in kills. It was about 13, it looks like. Murden actually never dying, but 13 deaths for Burgers for the Boys, whereas only 6 occurred. Ragnaros never even dying for Real Ultimate Mosh Pit. So just good rotations there. It didn't seem to be a really one-sided victory. As you kind of may have noticed, it was really just more a matter of time after time through Ultimate Mosh Pit going in and just making really strong plays. Hold on just a second. Excuse me. Just have to deal with some things here. They want me to make the next... excuse me, they didn't want me to make the next lobby, but I had to figure out which one it is. All right. So if you'll give me just a moment and just stare at my lovely face while I make sure this is all sorted, I will get back to what I was talking about. Alright, so it looks like some people are going to be taking a short break. So for the time being, I will cut over to, and actually let me finish this idea really quickly. It's just that I was talking about that the Ultimate Mosh Pit didn't really, even though they had a very methodical victory, it really was predicated on them making constant good plays, going for the pick on Falstad top lane, turning that into a fort, and just constantly having the counter engage potential from ETC's Mosh Pit. They get initiated on, they disengage, they wait for the rest of their team to be ready. Greymane pokes down the enemy team with the cocktail build, and then they reinitiate and get kills off of it pretty much every time. Like the fights they initiated, they did so really well, usually on their own terms, and got a pick out of it. The fights they didn't initiate, they were able to disengage long enough to regroup and jump on the back line with ETC stage dive. So good job from both teams there. First win coming out for Ultimate Mosh Pit. As you may have noticed, second game is going to be for Battlefield of Eternity. But that being said, it looks like it might be just a little bit until the next game starts. I'm going to switch you guys over to a boring blank screen just so I can get everything set up and not be distracted with trying to be my charismatic self. So I will see you guys in just a minute. Thank you all for coming out for now, and don't go away. We will be right back, as the logo says.